Hey Butcher, nice nickname. Man, I you know what? I clicked through that pretty quick. That's because I've done this 100 times beforehand. I didn't know this would be the one to record, probably. Second floor. All right. Where did we leave off? Anyway, that storyline, I went through it really fast. I think I stopped myself on the next one. But basically, it's just Sara recognizing Gork's nickname. That's pretty much all it is. That's how their conversation gets started. Gork is known as the Butcher. Get a little research done. So, from what I've found from playing several times over, is there are certain items that I find much more useful than others. Obviously, you want to get your main modules. You want to get your food replicator, your industry replicator, and your science replicator. Those go up to 4 levels. You might be tempted to go for the 4th one, which costs 100 science. I say, unless you're in a pod that specifically benefits from it, for instance, industry in the library pod, or food in the armory pod, 3 is usually enough. You're only getting 1 more resource per major module from 3 to 4. And you can research a lot more useful things in between if you just stick to 3. That's up to you, but that's what I've found from experience. In terms of attacking modules that I found the most useful, in no particular, in particular order. Number 1, number 1 would be the Neuro Stun. That reduces the speed of enemies, and it stacks. So if you have 2, it applies the effect twice. That item can absolutely make running the crystal an act much easier. Absolutely much easier. It's also just a good thing to put into any room that connects to your crystal, so you have a little bit more time to get there and save it before an enemy gets to it. Especially if you're playing on hard mode, where they do real damage to the crystal instead of this, fractions of dust that they do in normal mode when I'm playing on for most of these runs. Other useful items. Tear gas. Tear gas does damage over time to enemies and reduces and sort of divides their defense. It's good for when heroes are in the room. It's good when they're not in the room. They stack. If you stack them up and have a neuro stun to keep them in the room longer, they will destroy everything. So the 2 best attack modules are not listed under attack module. Those are my 2 go-tos. There's other good ones. The Tesla coil is probably the best bang for buck early game, and even late game it can be pretty useful, especially when you're going against enemies that target modules. You'll want to have those minor modules to soak up the damage so they don't destroy your more expensive major modules. And those will kill them pretty quick. So the Tesla, it's not called Tesla coil, but you know what I mean. It's the Tesla coil item. After that, late game, if you're talking late game, the Kit Cannon is really great if you have stocked science. Because I think at level 5, it's like up to 195 damage per shot. Now, they have a bit of a cooldown, but if you put a bunch of them in a room, they will destroy anything they target. And they always target the strong enemies first. That can help really soften things up for your heroes. And then on the cheap end is the first one you have. These little, man, the name escapes me, but the little red ones we see right now. At level 4, they have a short cooldown, they do decent damage. They're not bad. They're really not bad at all. Now, items they could be useful, but I did not find useful in pretty much any of my runs, are the biomass factory and cannery. They give you resources for killing enemies in a room, I don't know. It's like, I'd rather just kill the enemies than get a couple extra resources. If I kill enemies, then it's safer. My major modules don't have to worry about being damaged. I can operate. I can do a lot of things. Those canneries kind of just take up slots that I don't think they could. They could be used better. Mechanical PAL has some uses. I would always get the level 1 Mechanical PAL. And that's because if you have a shop and a vendor goes to it, a Mechanical PAL near it will give you 1 dust per floor. And that makes a big difference. You can have a character operate on it, but you might need resources much more early game than dust. Now, late game, character operating shop, that's pretty standard. At least if you want to not get your ass handed to you. But Mechanical PAL, really great at level 1. Late game, if you got extra resources and you don't know what else to get, go ahead and get it to level 4, because you might be able to put a character over the edge to get another dust by having Mechanical PALs with them. You get dust from a shop when it's being operated by the character's wit divided by 10. So Mechanical PAL level 4 will give you 2.5, so it's pretty easy to go over into the next 10 range. You just can go from 30 to 31 as an extra dust, basically. Or 20 to 21, etc. Now you might be asking, what's operate exactly? Well, sorry, excuse me. A good chunk of the characters will gain a skill between levels 3 and 5 called Operate. Unless you're playing as Wes. Wes will learn that. We'll have that from the very start, which makes him a great character, but there's plenty of reasons why he is a great character. One of my favorites. But Operate pretty much means that a character has to stay in the room with a major module while you're opening the next door. And as long as they don't move, they'll make sure that more resources generated from that module based on their wit. So, operators are pretty important at the beginning of the game, and honestly, you probably are going to keep one until the end of the game. But having 2 operators early game can make a huge, huge difference in leveling up your characters, getting stuff researched, getting better, just having safer setups in your rooms. They pretty much help with everything. You can use them on any module, but some modules don't benefit it that much. Your resource modules, which are food, science, industry, and the shop, all very much worthwhile operating on. Your modules that boost attack or defense, or the emergency generator, which has the side effect of increasing dust drop, those are not worth operating on. The percentage you gain from it is not worth not having the character get you a very direct, tangible resource. I mean, unless, of course, it's like the end of the game, very end of the game, and you have nothing else to be spending your industry on in like the last couple floors. But even then, I would just have the operator as a fighter somewhere, because at max level, they'd still be decent. So as you can see, I kind of focus a bit at the beginning here on leveling up Sara and Gork. Not because I have a lot of strategy, because I just thought it would be a good idea. Remembering this is, of course, a first run. But in general, leveling up your characters to get their sort of base skills, the things that differentiate them, can be a good, useful strategy early game. Plus, giving a little bit more defense and stuff like that can make the difference in these first couple rounds. One thing you do not want is losing a hero before you've even, like, recruited up to 4. If that happens, just start over. One thing I found very useful while playing the game is to keep using my middle mouse wheel to go into this overview that lets me see all the rooms that are dusted and undusted, and it'll show enemy positions and everything like that. Hero positions. It lets me, and you can even like move heroes and stuff from that position by selecting them and then doing things like that. And I find that can be very useful. Maybe not the most interesting to look at, but when you're in the heat of the moment, that doesn't matter. So now we've got the problem of having an undusted room right next to the crystal. This is before I knew you could put heroes into unpowered rooms. So, yeah. Probably gonna cause myself more stress than I need to right here. I don't quite remember if I put Gork in there out of a guess or not. Probably not. And that was a bad decision right there. Mechanical PAL 2 over the Tesla module. Woo! What a dumbass. Dead end. As you can see, the rooms do light up with the hero inside a bit. And I sort of incidentally, well, no, I moved Sara while the door was opening, so it didn't count. Like a fool. You can pause the game with the spacebar. And it can be useful for having to collect your thoughts on what you should be doing. Here we go. Nurse Ratchet. So, My theory is you should always keep a good surplus of 30 food with you at the beginning of the game, because you want to be able to recruit characters as soon as you meet them if you don't have a full team of 4 yet. And you don't want to be in the position of not being able to get enough food before you leave the floor to actually recruit them. Now, unfortunately, we got a character we've already got before, so obviously what I would like would be to find characters I haven't unlocked, so I can spend 3 floors with them to unlock them. But Ratchet's not a bad character. She's pretty well balanced. She uses a blaster as opposed to Gork's like assault rifle, and she does a pretty good job of keeping herself out of the enemy's way in combat. Her paramedic skill is a great support skill. She's a good support character with decent stats. She's not as useful if you don't have the team to work with, but she's never really a bad choice. So all the rooms been opened, it's just time to make our escape. So, let's see, what do I do here? Do I move Gork just to the exit because he's so slow I don't want to be waiting for him? If so, that's pretty insightful at this point. I use her speed up and have her move with Ratchet. I do this a lot. There's all kinds of strategies for what you can do once your time to move them. Sometimes it might be better to put heroes into dark rooms to keep them from spawning, enemies from spawning. Other times you might want to have a hero just waiting at the exit because it's too risky to have him moving around. And other times you might have a hero assisting the runner. Bada bing, bada boom. I know where I'd seen you. You were on K2L, weren't you? K2L, good fun, lots of yelling, chainsaws.